It was interesting watching him see the javelina this morning.
He's excited.
That's because I fooled with him.
Well, he knows we're going somewhere.
Yeah, he can always tell when we're going someplace. Mom and Dad are packing stuff up. We're on a hill.
We're not on a hill. Hey friends, you're watching BrainStormAcres. I'm Henry.
And I'm Irene.
We're about ready to head for our big trip to Pennsylvania.
Right. We've tried to plan as much as we can. You got the windshield replaced.
A brand new windshield 4 days before we're supposed to leave. It went in perfectly. It looks fabulous. There's only a small scratch. There's something about these windshields that the company just can't manage to get a windshield that's not damaged.
At least in our area of the country. I don't know how it is other places, but I do have some doubts about the competency of the people sometimes here.
Well, anyway, that's done.
Yep.
On the way back, I noticed I was having an issue with the tire, so I stopped. Oh, that was interesting.
He says, I'm busy.
I stopped at a tire store in Williams on the way back because I had to go to Flagstaff.
We've used them before and we trust them.
And it turns out that, well, you may remember that our mobile station burned, and the guy who was managing that station now works up at this place. Now, he's just a tire monkey, as he says. He says, I don't have to manage anybody. I don't have to worry about anything. This is a whole lot nicer than having to worry about people not showing up and causing problems. So, bought a brand new tire. So, new windshield, new tire. Now, let's hope that the air conditioning, which I also got fixed, functions all the way to Pennsylvania, because right now the forecast calls for hot weather.
Right. Well, it's been over 100 degrees for the last 2.5 weeks. And I tell you what, I'm really done with this. I am not one of those people who wishes away their life by saying, oh, I can hardly wait till the summer is over, but I can hardly wait till the heat is over. How's that? And it doesn't look like we're going to be driving into more heat, unfortunately. But if we're lucky, because we're really watching the radar and stuff like that, if we're lucky, we should be able to negotiate between most of the bands of really bad weather. So, you know, road construction, accidents on the road, all that kind of stuff, it all slows things down. But we'll see what happens, and we'll cross our fingers a lot.
Today I got Isa, our cat, down to the kennel where she's going to stay until we're back. It's going to be about 4 weeks and a couple of days, which will be just fine. Strangely enough, she gets along with everybody there very, very well. She doesn't bite them, doesn't scratch them. She always tries to perforate Irene. I'm not sure why.
Well, the behaviorists tell me it's because I belong to her, and therefore she's supposed to perforate me. Anyway, but they love her down there, so she gets lots of attention. It's a really nice kennel that gives each animal individual attention all the time, especially the kitties and stuff like that. They kind of let them have their space, but they've each got their own spot where they've got a cage and stuff like that. But then they can come out and visit with peoples and stuff if they want to.
Yeah, so Isa's down at the kennel, which is great. And behind me, you can see the remnants of our big job of building some new display boards. We put those in the truck, and we took the 4 that we built, 12 years ago?
Something like that.
That were very heavy. We took those out and replaced them with the new lightweight ones.
Right.
And we'll see how that works. We're not going to really know until when we set them up. It's no big deal, but we'll tell when we're breaking down, because the breakdown at that big event, 2 weeks in a medieval pavilion with a lot of stuff going on, usually is very tiring at the very end, and getting those last few display boards in is a real chore.
Yeah, that's when you really know the difference. When there's an extra 10 pounds, you're just like, oh God, really?
Now, we always leave a few days extra when we're going to this event, because you can never tell when something's going to go wrong. In the past, we've had the electrical system that was monitoring oil pressure and transmission temperature and a bunch of other things go haywire. There was no problem with the truck.
No.
There was a problem with the monitoring
Right,
system.
and the monitoring system was actually, the guys at the repair place told me it's actually an aftermarket thing, which at the time seemed like a really good idea. He said, but the reality is in the long run, most of the people wind up getting it discontinued. They just cut the wires and take it out because it's a problem. And it was designed really for companies.
Inner city driving where drivers were not assigned to a specific truck. They just grabbed whatever truck was in the lot and they'd go make their mattress delivery, a furniture delivery,
or whatever. And they didn't count on the drivers being able to do anything other than drive and deliver. They didn't expect them to be competent or pay any attention to oil pressure or anything else. We naturally do that with all of our vehicles. So it's not that big a deal for us, and we don't have a bunch of employees to worry about. So if we screw something up, we only have ourselves to thank for that.
Well, fortunately, we keep track of pretty much everything in that truck. Well, everything.
Yeah.
At least everything I know about. So we stay on top of that because we drive long distances. The shortest distance we drive is when we go down southwest of Phoenix, and that's 160 or 170 miles.
One way.
One way. And when we go to California, that's 550 miles one way, plus another 60 going to the actual site. And going to this place in Pennsylvania is about 2,300 miles if we make no side detours.
Right. We had hoped to be able to make some side detours this year because we try to incorporate. People always think, oh, how cool it is. You work for yourself. You get to do this. You get to do that. We're not wandering around the United States in a luxurious RV doing what we want to do. We're heading from point A to point B, trying to make as few stops as possible, trying to get through the construction, the bad weather, the idiots on the road, all that sort of stuff in one piece, and get to where we need to be. We do try to incorporate something cool every year.
Yeah, we do that, plus we have one extra day for mechanical problems that might happen.
Right, because we've had it happen before where you blow a tire or something, now you have to wait for the guy to come get you on the side of the road, and it could be 4 or 5 hours sometimes, depending on where you're located.
The last time we had this problem, it happened very close to Holbrook, Arizona. Had a blowout in the truck about 15 miles from a travel plaza.
Right.
Contacted the company to replace the tire. They were only 30 miles in the opposite direction, but it still took 6 hours.
Right.
6 hours for them to get there, change the tire, and put us back on the road. No, by the way, it was $1,000.
Yeah. Well, they got you by the short and curlies, so they're going to squeeze.
And they did.
Yeah, they do. Anyway, it was nicer when we had coverage, but the company that used to provide coverage no longer provides coverage to trucks that have been converted. They only do RVs now. And our truck is legally an RV, but they don't cover that anymore. They decided it was, I don't know, too sketchy or whatever.
They just decided not to cover it.
Right. The bean counters counted beans. And
they counted beans and said no.
Yeah, right.
You know, we need to keep more beans. We don't want to give beans away.
That's right.
Well, one of the things I did several months ago was I started contacting various places that we might want to stop going to Pennsylvania and coming back from Pennsylvania. So I reached out to the Grand Canyon to find out what permits would require to do some filming so we could share it with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we want to go see things, but we also want to have some footage that we can use here on our channel and share with our family. But you know, there's been a change in the law that now requires anybody who's filming in a national park
or a national monument, or there's one more national thing.
Anything.
National Wildlife Refuge, maybe?
National Wildlife Refuges. So I contacted the Grand Canyon 3 or 4 months ago, and I contacted several times. I never heard back.
Right.
Because
they're a high usage environment and lots of people want to film there and all that kind of stuff. The basic problem is they have the right to refuse you a permit if they decide that even somebody like Henry and I, we're not going to be out there with 17 people and a sound man and a camera guy and, you know, and an entourage that would clog up things for the tourists. They could still decide to charge us hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Well, you pay that fee up front, and if they say, no, you can't do it, you lose the fee.
You don't get it back. And then on top of that, you have the whole, well, we can change our mind at any moment. Oh, there's an important tour group coming through. Oh, there's somebody more important coming through than you are. You're not allowed to come in. Okay. Some locations will decide that you need to have a guide. Now, we've been to the south rim of the Grand Canyon
Dozens of times.
Dozens of times. Because anytime anybody comes through, we'll tend to go there with them. Plus, we bought the senior pass cards.
The last year that the free forever
pass cards were
pass
sold.
for old people,
yes.
we spent the $80 each to buy that pass.
Right.
And we've had it now for
I don't know. But the whole point is, as long as we don't lose
10
them,
years.
they're good forever.
Yeah, so the trick is you have to have that card. And
You lose it, you're toast.
It's just like money. You lose it, it's gone.
Yeah.
But I also contacted other locations. We really want to go to Dinosaur National Park. Mm-hmm. We'll go, but
We can't show it.
we can't show it, so that's a problem. I contacted where Irene used to work at the Bosque del Apache, and that was the first person who actually responded back in a positive way.
Right.
And she said, here's what you have to do. She gave me the page that we have to provide all the information for, which means our names, our information, our insurance company, when we're going to be there, what we're going to film,
Right.
why we're filming, how we're filming.
And how do you know what you're going to film? I mean, the Bosque del Apache, most of the people who go there, it's a bird place. Basically, it's on one of the national flyways. It's a huge migratory bird location. Literally hundreds of thousands of birds every year come through that area. Sandhill cranes, the Whooping Crane Project was there, which is where I worked there. The snow geese, Brandt's geese, all these kind of birds come through in the hundreds of thousands.
Whooping Crane Project was a well-intended but ill-fated project because it turns out
They didn't understand.
it turns out whooping cranes imprint on
Whoever
whatever's
raises them.
there.
Yeah.
And they were imprinting on sandhill cranes, so they wanted to
do the wild thing with the sandhill cranes when it was time to breed. And that wasn't the point of the whole project. The whole point was they were concerned that the major whooping crane location in the United States is located in Texas on the coast. And they were thinking that one good oil spill down there could totally destroy the entire whooping crane project, whooping crane population in the United States. So they wanted to establish other populations that would still be, migrating every year and all that kind of stuff, but that would not be susceptible to that.
Yeah. So we're going to try to get as much footage on the trip. We'll definitely give some footage from in the truck as we're going
Yeah.
through places. We'll try to stop other places just because they're interesting, but it's going to be hot. Right now it looks
Yeah.
like it's going to be over 105 degrees in, let's say, Amarillo,
Yeah.
and hotter in northern Oklahoma. So I'm not sure how much time we're going to spend
Yeah,
outside.
because there is a place in Amarillo, the Cadillac
Ranch.
Cadillac Ranch. It's
It's an art installation that's really old now.
yeah, but it's a bunch of Cadillacs that are set up like a Stonehenge sort of a thing, and it's a transforming art installation, which means you bring your own spray cans and you paint the Cadillacs. And we've been there a zillion times, and it's fun. But when it's hot,
It's hot.
gosh,
And
that's
it's
a brutal
miserable.
location. Oh, it's just miserable. So if it's hot and miserable when we go through, we won't stop because there's no reason to abuse ourselves.
It's time for us to finish getting the truck loaded.
Yep.
We have everything in it pretty much except for some perishables. So
Yeah, the last of the things that would melt, explode, or something like that have to go in at the very
our
last minute.
medications going at the end, and
Yeah.
and we'll pack. We have actually packed up our clothes for the trip itself
Yeah.
in suitcases, so it's easy for us to go into the hotel.
Well, we do 3 sets of clothes. We figured this out a number of years ago. Three sets of clothes. The first set of clothes goes into suitcases, and that's what we use all the way there. We have a backup set of clothes that only gets opened when we get to the other end, and that's at the event because we need a different set of clothes there. Basically, we need underwear and socks and stuff like that there because we're wearing medieval clothes the whole time we're there. So we have our medieval clothes in other buckets, and then we have those clothes. And then for after the event, in order not to have to instantly do laundry and stuff like that, I have another box that's got both of our clothes in there, but it contains another set of underwear and socks and nicer shirts and, you know, just stuff to wear afterwards. So that we don't have to try and cram everything into the suitcases. That goes both ways, because we did that years ago and that got to be a disaster.
It's too much.
Too much weight.
Well, first it's too much weight, and the other thing is if you have rain or something else that accidentally gets on a suitcase, now you have wet clothes and you have all of your clothes wet.
Yeah.
So we don't do that anymore.
No, having the other clothes that are backups, either for the event or for after the event, in plastic boxes that are, you know, I mean, like, yeah, if we got 12 feet of water, we're going to be soggy, but then that's a whole nother can of worms. But it keeps things set. And I normally throw like a dryer sheet in with them to make sure everything stays fresh, and so it doesn't smell like plastic when you open the box.
So, thanks very much for watching. We've had to reduce our publishing schedule. We're going to try to keep that same publishing schedule while we're at the event.
Heaven knows.
We'll see. This event is scheduled to have a large number of people, a lot of them brand new, and I think that they're doing the gate book using a QR code. So
yeah,
people
they're doing the QR codes, because I've already read some of that stuff online, but that means we'll be answering a lot more questions than usual. I am teaching 4 classes while I'm there. So,
and my concern is everybody's going to be using their smartphone, which is going to be using the cell tower, which I'm not sure how much bandwidth is going to be available. We'll see when we get there.
Yeah.
So, thanks for watching. We'll talk with you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, and keep on brainstorming, because obviously we are.
I hope there's not too many storms.
We'll know when we know.
And there'll be rain when it rains.
Yeah, there'll be weather.